Welcome to the Religiously Offensive Podcast.
If anybody's listening out there.
Yeah.
Well,
drop a comment.
No, it's funny is it's
Trying to evade these taxes.
Well, I talked to a guy legally.
Maybe don't say yeah.
I talked to a guy who's kind of he's got money and he's a Christian. He was just like, yeah, you just got to find a tax guy that's just a little shady.
Dude, I've been watching.
Typically the guys that used to work for the IRS are the good ones, you know?
Well, I'm currently going back through Suits. What I told you about it, but it's a series. It's not, they just dropped it on Netflix, but it's about these like high end lawyers. They do like corporate law in New York City. So it's like, you know, they're working with a whole bunch of shady people, but every single case, you're just like, the client comes to the lawyer and they're just like, I don't care how you do it, hide it and don't tell me and fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
tell me.
Dang, bro.
Be like that.
Like all these people out here just skirting. And I'm out here paying.
Yo, dude.
Screw that, dude.
It's unreal. The middle class definitely gets screwed. And we're getting screwed more. Excuse me. What was that? I was going to ask you about that thing you sent me on Insta.
Which one? Send you a lot of things.
What I know.
We got like a.
Well, I guess you could talk about.
I'll just send random things to.
The hidden,
some are the inappropriate,
right.
Some are the funny.
Yeah. It's always like they're the check boxes, and you're just like,
well,
he wouldn't like this one.
Yeah, and they're right at the top of the list. You're just like, yep, that's the one.
Yep.
He might appreciate this.
Yeah, and then you just get people. You're just like, yeah, I don't think that's there. So,
yeah, not their cup of tea.
Yeah, I skip Gabby a lot.
Because most of the shit you send me isn't my cup of tea.
I know. I thought the Soldier Board was pretty funny, but Scotty sent me that one.
Which one are you talking about?
There's been a couple.
Are we recording, by the way?
Sure are. The hidden submarine one. That was crazy. What was that? Is that just another sub they had, or
I don't know.
People are just saying
it was just some random. Yeah, I started following. So I did like a whole purge like a couple months ago because I was going through these phases where I was just like, I just need to get off social media because it's you know, obviously not helpful and it's distracting me and I'm living my life through a screen, whatever.
Good for you, man. I've never heard of anyone doing that.
So yeah, I tried to do the whole purge thing and I was just like, before the purge, I was like, I'm just gonna totally get off of this. And it was fine. It was good. It was, you know, beneficial. And then you just have a boring day and you're like, well, take a look. And you just like re-download it. You start looking at stuff again. And then I just had this moment where I was just like, I just don't care anymore. Like I'm going to unfollow every single human or every single person that like, I just don't like their content. Cause like, and the other thing is like,
whether you know, you're going to offend them or not.
Yeah. I just don't care. And the funny thing is like, if someone unfollows
me.
Me
and JJ don't have any content. You like that?
Well, yeah, but if you do post something, I'm like,
that's my home.
I work with it. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Well, we're not posting like,
so you don't got to post a lot, but it's like those friends you have
on the beach and stuff.
Yeah, those friends that are just like super close and like you just feel bad for not technically being their Instagram friend. I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like end of the day, and like because if someone unfollows me, I have no idea. I'm never gonna know.
Yeah,
right. And then I found out that there's these apps that they make where you can track and it like basically tells you it's like a separate app, but it's like connected to your Instagram or your social media somehow. And
you can always just mute people. You ever do that?
I've done that a lot.
Yeah, you just mute them. And
well, at first, and then I was just like, nah, dude, I'm not playing games. I'm just like, I'm in or I'm out, you know? No.
You should have just started a new profile.
App thing?
So there's this app that basically will track every like new follower you gain and everyone you lose. And it will literally tell you which people left.
That's a problem.
Oh,
agreed.
I can think of 5 people right now I know that use that.
Oh, a ton of them. And so this was my end conclusion. I was just like, if you have this app and I unfollow you and then and then you still choose to contact me and be like, why'd you unfollow me?
You deserve it.
Then I'm just going to be like,
because of this.
I'm not going to have this conversation because you're a dumb person. Like, it's over. Like,
Did anybody contact you?
Huh. So I just but even if they did, I just don't care. So I basically just purged everything. And I only started following people that like I enjoy their content, or it's like positive, uplifting, like Jay Shetty type
Wholesome.
stuff.
So you followed someone that posts a lot of conspiracies.
So then I found a couple conspiracy pages. Yeah. So yeah, full circle. So then there's a couple conspiracy pages because I just like thinking outside the box.
Well, it's not, and I think it's like we've been talking too, and I mean you hear it a lot recently. Is that conspiracy is really just like a term that people.
It's a critical thinking mind,
so that they can shut you up, or make people discount you or think you're crazy.
Weaponize the term. So it's just like at this point, it's like I'll wear conspiracy theorists as a badge of honor because like more often than not, I'm right at the end of the day.
I wouldn't say more often, but probably at least 40% of the time. A lot of them are true.
I'm not like taking hard stances, but I'm just opening the mind. But like certain things, I will like all the schmack schmeen stuff. Like I will absolutely, be like, I was right.
Yeah, I mean, I love that about you. Unless you start talking about flat Earth, and then I'm just gonna.
Those are my favorite conversations.
I'm gonna
between
start.
The two of you.
You do know though that half the reason I bring it up is because it triggers you.
Yeah, I know.
Literally why.
Yeah.
And you can see it. You can visibly see how bad it bothers him.
We don't have to get into it, but I got a couple of videos I could send you. I'm not saying I'm a flat earther. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm willing to watch satire anytime.
I would like to see there.
Yeah, it's fine.
You're showing your cards. No, but anyways, yeah. Wait, what were we even talking about?
The conspiracy guy on Instagram or whatever.
Following Instagram and stuff.
For the stuff.
Your journey.
Yeah. So I just follow these guys, and it's like most of it is just nonsense. But like, again, it goes back to I trust the voice within more than I trust the narrative outside of what people want you to think.
And it's crazy. Like, I mean, you would think that with as much information as people have access to, they wouldn't just blindly follow whatever, whoever's telling them. But like,
some shit be making sense.
Well, I mean, the government. The government. I mean, the CIA and all those groups will manipulate our population as well as they will other countries. Yeah. And they use shadow companies and to make it not look like them, and it's easier for them to do it than ever.
Well, didn't the CIA just admitted that they killed JFK recently?
I didn't see that.
I don't know.
I'll come back with the receipts. But also. Before we move on to the other part, but with the JFK stuff, like Trump was supposed to release like the CIA reports, didn't happen. And then Biden was supposed to basically like they have like expiration dates, and every time the presidents will just be like, oh yeah, we'll do it in 2 years. Oh yeah, we'll do it another 2 years. We'll do it another 4 years, whatever.
Yeah, when in all reality, they have a gun to some loved one's head and
then especially with like the UFO
you ain't releasing
stuff.
That.
With like UFO stuff, there's been so much smoke about like we're releasing all this information and then it just like never comes out.
Well, what's unreal is that like there's so much information out there. Stuff could hide in plain sight and you wouldn't know it. Like you'd have no idea.
Well, that's the other challenge is like the search engines, and like look at the whole poop show that came out of like Elon just trying to buy Twitter. Everyone's just like, Twitter is going to become this right-wing platform of disinformation. You're just like, it was already being censored.
Well, it's funny.
Like, how do you not understand that? Like he's trying to like let everyone at the table talk.
Right. No. What I think is hilarious is they're just like bragging about the success of Threads. And I'm like, literally what is it? A button on Instagram that you press to sign up? Like
I still don't know.
I don't even know. I've never been on it.
Yeah, I haven't
but like
Elon's suing Zuckerberg over it. I hope they do that cage fight though.
I hope they don't.
Zuckerberg's going to whoop his ass.
Cage fight. Weren't they going to fight it like?
Zuckerberg's been training with Adesanya.
Well, he's also 10 years younger.
That dude is like, definitely on test.
15 years younger.
Zuckerberg literally just became like a whole snack overnight.
Yeah,
but like his face is a problem, but like
all he had to do was change his programming, and then like he's
gonna destroy Elon. I mean,
dude, it's a dumb thing, but I think that it's tough because it's like, I mean, bragging about the success of like, I don't like Zuckerberg. I mean, nothing against him personally. I just don't like what he's built. I think it's trash. Meta in general, it's like Google, like everything's confusing. They'll start things and then discontinue it. And it's all like their Meta business, or used to be Facebook business, is like a steaming trash heap. Like it's so hard to figure anything out. You get locked out of stuff. There's no one to talk to. They have no customer service. Yeah. So it's crazy.
So is Threads like a separate app, or do you just access it through Instagram?
It's an app, but I don't know. Because I've been seeing, the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's an app or not. It's through Meta. So if you have a Meta account, you're basically, it's like one click and you signed up for, you know what I mean? Like, so they brag about all these followers. Like Twitter, you have to actually go and sign up for
I don't understand why, like Meta as the umbrella company, why do I have a separate like Facebook login than an Instagram login? Like I would think that
that's a good question.
They would like just force you to merge and just be like, this is your account. Yeah, this is your Facebook page. This is your Instagram page.
You would think. But that's the whole like problem with Meta, is that they've gone so many different directions. They can't like keep the reins on everything. And it's a horrible user experience.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens in court if the whole Threads thing stands up, because most of what I've heard about is it's like basically a copycat of Twitter. But at the same time,
it's a copycat for everyone who left Twitter. I mean, he saw an opportunity for that.
Yeah, and part of the issue is, I think
he wanted to be popular kid again.
Yeah,
because everyone has despised Facebook for the longest time because all the boomers hang out there.
Yeah, isn't Elon suing for like IP theft? Because I think he's basically saying that a bunch of the Twitter employees, because he downsized by like 75%. Like he just cut so much of the workforce.
Yeah. Well, and
so
a bunch
most of them just went over to Meta, and then they just basically recreated Twitter on Meta, and they took like the IP info with them. So I think that's kind of why he's
patent IP info. I mean, what is there something you can do?
IP is intellectual property, so by definition, it is something.
It should have a code.
It's like it's something that belongs to somebody. Yeah. So
I mean, but the courts will decide on how that shakes out.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what I mean. Realistically, there's the user base, but then that's what you're buying when you buy something like Twitter. You're buying IP. So
right.
And then, it's just Meta basically gets access to all that through all the people that quit and who couldn't handle working for Elon or got fired.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I don't use Twitter or Threads,
Me either. I've never used Twitter. I've used Twitter to look at articles and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, random videos, I'll watch that on Twitter, but it's just I never use it. And I always got annoyed with people that used it, honestly, because it's I don't like Twitter.
I tried it. I just don't.
It's just like the type of people that use Twitter, the type of people that never stop talking. You know what I mean? They always got something to share.
Yeah, you're just like, bro, shut up.
Well, not only that, it's just it's proved through, Joe Rogan experience. And it's like long form conversation is what wins out. That's when you really get context, when you really get what someone's about. And when you limit the more you limit what people can write, the more you just leave it open for, taken out of context and, all this stuff. It's just horrible.
Like the biggest value of Twitter is it's basically just the online
trolling.
Journalists use it for if I were to ever use Twitter, I would just follow Brian Windhorst, all these NBA analysts who are breaking news about trades or injuries, stuff like that. It's basically just an online
and honestly, there's
newspaper,
but there's better places you can go for that now.
Well,
so it's you don't
Twitter
even need
gets it first.
Really?
A lot of times those guys they'll at least in this specific, I don't know about all.
A lot of them because it's their best line to the public or whatever.
A lot of these investigative journalists or reporters or inside guys will just get a scoop and then they'll just throw it out on Twitter ASAP, and then
it's easy because it just notifies everyone
and then all of a sudden someone sees it gets reposted. So
but how many times
it's basically, instead of writing an article about if I'm an insider NBA analyst and I find out that Dame Lillard, they finally pulled off the trade to Miami, and I just throw up a tweet in 30 seconds instead of having to go to my office, write an article, submit it to the editor, get it approved, get it printed. it's literally just like, boom, it's out. And then all your followers will just repost it. And
how many times have they had to like walk that stuff back? I don't think that it's necessarily good to be able to post stuff that fast. It can create big problems.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not 100%, but I would also assume those guys, if they want to maintain their reputation, they probably don't post something that they know is not solid.
Well, I mean, yeah, journalists will, building journalists will post stuff, and then, I mean, who knows? Like, people could make financial decisions, all this stuff, trying to get ahead, and then like, oh, whoop, that was wrong.
Well, look, I mean,
well, that's on them. Do your homework. Don't go off of one tweet.
What I'm saying, overall, it's a bad thing.
Well, look, I mean, Elon did it with like Dogecoin and all that stuff.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's just
I think
the nature of the
overall
world.
that was destructive.
Instantaneous. Yeah, I lost a lot of money on Doge.
A lot of people did.
Trash.
But yeah, I mean,
stupid. What was
I just don't like the format.
Shih Tzu Inu. What was that dog?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But either way, yeah. So
I like Reddit.
Long conversation. Yeah, JJ does love his Reddit.
Just saying,
I just don't like reading that much.
That's another thing
so much to read.
Yeah, there's just so much like stuff you don't need to know.
I can't filter through all of it.
Well, I mean, you only subscribe to the subs that you want info on.
That's true. I feel like I avoid a lot of repetitive stuff.
I avoid the news tab.
Reading. I'm just I'm at the point where I'm pure auditory. Like, I just like, if I can't watch it or listen to it, I don't like to read.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind reading.
I think reading is good for your brain, Justin.
It's very good for your brain. Yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong. I need to do it more, but
exercise that brain.
It's fine. I need to find the right genre to start reading, because I'm like in this phase right now where I'm really going like esoteric over exoteric, which only means like,
explain.
So like exoteric is basically looking for truth outside. And then esoteric would be like searching for truth within.
Well, I'm sure they have books on conspiracies.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like,
you can read.
But like, I would rather watch a 30-second clip on the conspiracy. Like, I don't need to spend 5 hours reading a book on all the stuff. It's
that's
just
because
like,
you've been trained.
You're also probably getting more information in the book than.
But it's like, what do I do with it? Like, I'm not going to go out here and preach on like the street corners being like, the submersible didn't actually sink. It's here, and they lied to us. Like, I'm just like, I don't care.
But
like,
I think it's opens your mind into like different ways that people think and unpack things and certain ideas, as opposed to just getting that quick shot of adrenaline. You know what I mean? It's like a drug. Like, it's like social media and all those little quick bites are like drugs.
Well, I mean, so it's like, do you want to take like the line of cocaine, or do you want to like do the 5-hour version? It's like, you're getting it one way or the other.
5-hour version sounds good.
That's just a lot of time.
I feel like you're probably, well, I don't know. You retain a lot of information, but I feel like you're getting so much more information. You're like just retaining, I guess, the parts that like stick out to you. But if you're going in depth into one thing,
I guess it would just have to be
super knowledgeable in whatever that one thing is, instead of like,
it probably goes back to
I heard this about this, and this.
I think
there's nothing that I want to know that much about that. I'm like, I need to know everything about this. I just like kind of knowing a little bit about a lot.
I think it's less about that. I think it's what I was saying. Like, the reason I would read, and I hate reading so much, but I know it's beneficial. I hate it. No, barely ever. I buy a book. We've talked about this. I buy a book, get through the first 3 chapters, and it's like, but like the thing, it's not necessarily about, it's not about like knowing more about something. It's about training your mind to settle, relax, get into a topic without having to just get the quick stimulation. And I think that's overall healthy for us. Like, you know, if we were in a time where we didn't have our phones, I think we'd be like, we'd feel free for the first like 30 minutes and then be like, no, I can't get a hold of anyone. I can't see it, you know? So it's like you start getting withdrawals. Like, so I'm just saying, like, I think as an exercise, reading is really good.
I think it is very relaxing. Cause like, say you're watching a movie, it's just like watching a movie, right? Or a TV show. Like, you still have that urge, or at least I do, to like check my phone every now and then, or like maybe do something on my phone as I'm watching a show or whatever. When you're reading a book, like, you're just like completely zoned in on that.
But it also exercises your like visualization and creative part of your brain too, because you're reading on a page. You don't have pictures. So it's like then you're kind of like engaging with it more.
Yeah.
And when you're watching a movie, you're literally like a zombie. This is like, it's showing, you don't have to imagine, like it's just showing you.
Well, they've done studies and showed like that's why they run like certain infomercials at certain times at night. Cause it's like once you're like, if you're sleepy and you're watching something, your brain waves start to slow down and it's like you become more suggestible.
Subliminal. Yeah.
You just, well, that's the whole concept of what is it when they put people to sleep? Like on stage and they make them do stuff. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, to a certain degree, I think it's a narrow window because
but it all goes down to brainwave. Yeah. When you get like go do hypnotism type therapy. But I guess the only thing I would say is like to be devil's avocados is I think it's definitely not good to be on the phone or the screen watching a bunch of 30-second clips. I think for me, what I like about it is I like to like take in a 30-second clip and like get like a seed or a kernel of truth. And then I take that and then I take time to like process it internally. And instead of just taking like, so if I'm going to spend 5 hours reading a book, I'd rather just like get like the snippet or like the synopsis in like a minute or less. And then let me sit with that for 5 hours. And then I trust myself to weed out the good and the bad type of vibe.
Sure. But then you're not getting like someone's full point of view either. You're just getting the snippet.
Well, and they probably have a good point of view if they wrote a whole book about it.
But that's what I'm saying. I want the gist of it.
They got good reviews on Amazon.
But at the same time, it's like it all funnels back to this esoteric versus exoteric, where it's just like, I trust myself more than this random stranger who knows nothing about my life. So you
do trust yourself more, but that's only with the information you're being given.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not trying to like persuade you to believe it or not. They're just giving you all the information that they've.
Well, they're trying to pay their mortgage with that book.
Well, Justin, the thing is though, like thousands of people read it and leave reviews.
That's a really bad reason.
So what I'm saying is,
I'm just saying they're not like perfect white knights that are just like leaving this like book of wisdom on my doorstep.
But what I'm saying,
they're also not leaving it on your doorstep. They're not making you buy it. Like you have you already have an interest in whatever they wrote about.
That's what I'm saying. Like give me the condensed version, and then I want to sit with it. And
Justin's not reading.
Well,
I just don't need to.
And I get that you trust yourself. What
Everyone's got a million opinions.
Once you get that little snippet of information, you're not meditating on that for 5 hours. You're going to YouTube or Google and watching a video or looking up stuff about it, and you don't know how reliable that info is.
No, that's what I'm saying though. I'm not saying like keep looking at a bunch of different clips. It's like if there's something that's important, instead of buying a book and spending 5 hours reading it, I would rather digest the synopsis and then spend time meditating on that synopsis and working it out internally versus just reading someone's opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so I'm going to take 5 hours reading this guy's opinion.
I'm trying to think like what you're imagining.
And then I still got to process it.
An example of like what are you imagining like a book being about? I guess what's your like example?
Perfect example. I saw a clip this morning actually on the way in, and this guy was talking about, it was a guy who wrote a book. His name's Bob Peck, I believe, but he wrote a book basically on like the life of Christ and how basically like all the lost teachings of Christ and all the stuff that we focused on and whatever. And he talks about the concept of like mystics or mysticism. And within every religion, there's an element of mysticism because it's like if there wasn't some sort of supernatural element, like no one would be drawn to it, right? So it's like religions were created to try to explain the unexplainable.
So you're thinking of from just like strictly religious
Well, no, this is just an example because you asked for an example. This was this morning, and he was basically saying, and this was like 1 minute clip, and he was basically saying within every religion is an element of mysticism. And when you break down the word mystic, it goes back to the Greek word mu, M-U, which literally means mute. And he talks about like, it's the silence and I've said this a million times, but it's like the whole be still and know that I'm God kind of vibe where it's like, you don't need a middleman. You just go to the source, you find stillness and shut out all the thoughts and quiet the mind. And then you connect and figure out what's what. And basically saying like within all these religions is this element of mysticism. And then we have kind of co-opted it, and it's human tendency to kind of lean towards the exoteric version where it's like now we create institutions, we create all this stuff, and then there's red tape and there's bureaucracies, there's all this stuff. And instead of the whole point was just be quiet and find God.
So that was the video that you watched, basically just saying that.
So that was the minute clip, but then it's just like now.
So you're saying if he had a book that was like even further in depth, you wouldn't be interested in that. You would like to just hear that, go off of what you already know and sit with it.
Yeah, I'd rather just, because I've already, like this whole morning, you just start to think about it, and you're just like, you find truth in that. And I just trust to take information in and go within.
I understand that. But yeah, what if the guy wrote the book and it went into like how they first figured out that sitting still and this and that, and what techniques they used to use back in the day, and then like relate that to today, and like what can we do now in spite of all the noise and all this stuff? Because it's like, obviously he gave a real quick summary. It's like, so if there was more to exploring that whole idea, you wouldn't be into doing that.
I'm not like necessarily opposed, but like,
in addition to exploring all the benefits of just reading in general.
I guess I would just say this. If you're asking me, like, if I need to like read more about how to sit still and find God, I'm like, I don't need to read. Like, I just need to.
No, this was about religion. It was about the mystic part of it. And I'm just saying, maybe in a book, it gives you some ideas about how you can kind of, work through that, given today's climate and all that stuff, and like stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think about on your own.
No, I mean,
just as an example.
No, I think there's definitely, I'm not saying that people shouldn't read and there's no value in reading. I guess I'm just saying I would rather spend my time working through that stuff internally than just reading every single opinion this guy has about the topic.
So if you had more hours in a day, maybe you'd consider reading.
Perhaps.
So moving on from that, there's the thing that you sent me about what I didn't know if I fully understood the high priest and then Satan.
I didn't even look into it. I just thought it was
seems intense.
Funny clip.
Yeah.
Because it was what?
Reading about
Exodus
the rules.
28?
Exodus 28, reading about the rules for the high priest in Exodus 28, and then in God's description of Satan in Ezekiel 28. Oh, they're both 28 too.
Weird.
Dang, dang.
So the high priest is Satan? Depending on the church, I could agree with that.
I can't remember. Did we ever go into that whole like rabbit hole on any of the pods about
We've gone into a few.
The conspiracy about like Satan in the garden? Yeah, I think we did.
Did we? Okay.
Because the snake appeared to, I don't know if this is totally rehashing, but like snakes in our current world are just always viewed as like demonic or like scary or like whatever. But it's like, it's just a snake. Like, it's just an animal. Like, he didn't choose to be a snake. It's just like any other animal.
I think it's more of that, like
some humans are scary. All snakes are scary.
But I think that's a primal thing built into our psyche just from like our ancestors. You know what I mean? Just because it's like
snakes are always just viewed. But the weird thing is like pharaohs always had like the typical like pharaoh, like what's effigy? I forget the exact name or whatever, but it like has a snake coming off of the forehead. And then in a lot of cultures, snakes are like seen as like symbols of like wisdom.
So you think it's just our inherent cultural fear, maybe due to
and they're just like, they're large and
I do think snakes they're sick, but they're also scary.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be too close to one, but I wonder
have you ever like held like a boa or like a big snake? You're like, bro, this is a majestic creature. Yeah. Like, this thing is crazy.
Yeah. I don't really love holding animals in general. I mean,
really?
No, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I like animals.
Maybe holding like a dog or something.
That's fair.
I don't really like cats.
Is it like a safety thing?
No. I don't know. I think more of it, like when I pick up a dog, I'm afraid I'm hurting it. Like, I'm afraid, like I'm holding it wrong or something. Because I don't know how the dog feels. You know, with my kid, I'm like, well, I'm a human, so I feel like I kind of know how I would want to be held. But like, you know what I mean?
It's just energy, dude.
Sure.
It's just like energy.
If an animal feels weird around me, I start like being like, yo, am I sketchy? Like, because this animal has no ability to like, because we probably talked about this on another one, but also it's like the whole concept of like, we like to think of ourselves as special, like humans, because we have like a soul or whatever.
Well, we're like the least special thing on the earth.
Yeah. I mean, we just exist here. We don't know how we got here, but it's like
we contribute like nothing compared to like.
I will say with some animals,
we do a lot more destruction.
Me.
Yeah.
A bear, I'm not going to go try to hold.
But if you could hang out with a bear, how dope would that be?
Like
Probably could if you got conditioned to it.
Confirm that he was not going to hurt me.
People do that.
Yeah.
I'm saying some people do that. Like those buddies over in Russia, like, or what?
The guys
Lance
are chilling
Palmer.
with the fucking lions and.
Yeah,
Dean Schneider
hanging out. Yeah,
but I've also seen where that goes south. Like, I'm just the whole bear thing with people. You've seen some of those the gory videos online with bears.
No, I refuse.
I try to not watch that.
Yeah.
Those are insane.
I can't do that.
It is what it is. But
yeah, not crazy.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think the snake thing. It's like one of those. I wonder how much of that's like physiological. Like, you know how like there's that. You know how there's that. You know that fear of holes that people have, like where you look at that thing with the hand and it's got all the it's a CGI image and it's just like got all the hole things in it, and then you're like, oh, you just get weird about it. It's like, I think it's like it goes back to just like your brain's association with like skin sores and disease, and I think that's why you get kind of freaked out. Like, I wonder if there's a connection with that with snakes, like. Yeah, I mean, the slimy thing, the slippery, whatever. And it's just.
Yeah, I think it's part of the journey of like what a lot of Eastern traditions would say is like the ascension of the soul.
Yeah, it's like, why are we freaked about spiders too? Like,
yeah, it's just like, dude, like there's only a small handful of spiders that could actually hurt you, and you're probably never going to come in contact with one.
Right.
And it's just like people just freak out. You're just like, dude, because I'm getting to a weird point where it's like this morning, I grounded with my palm tree for like 5 minutes before I took my dogs on a walk.
I would love to see that.
So,
yeah.
No, I literally like,
thinking the same thing.
because it's like, I only have them in the front yard, of course, and only freaking trees in my backyard. So I'm just like, I'm half just like trying to be present.
Wait, I need a full picture here. So do you just pair of shorts, no shirt, no shoes?
Do you have a ring?
Shorts?
Do you have a ring cam?
Yeah, but I don't think it would pick me up. I'm on the other side of the yard.
You need to get a camera.
But no, I just stand on the grass, grab my palm tree.
Yeah.
Irma, she's sweet.
Like
she's old.
Like so just hands touch. Like you're not like hugging it.
No, I'm just hands on it. Well, and the reason I started doing it is because again,
like a middle school
dance. those studies they did with grounding, where like you're basically tapping into the electromagnetic field of the earth, which is like, if you think about it, if God created the earth and then we were created to live on the earth, we then created rubber-soled shoes that cut us off from the electromagnetic field of the earth.
I think we still feel the electromagnetic field though, right?
No, but that's the study they did, because just like if you're in a car and get struck by lightning because you have rubber tires, the rubber like absorbs all that stuff. So you don't get like shocked.
Well,
rubber
magnetism
absorbs that stuff.
Magnetism is different than electromagnetic. But it's still voltage and electricity is different than like magnetism.
Well, it's electromagnetic, right? So there's components that are pushing away and stuff that's pulling it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
how long did you do that for?
I did it 5 minutes, but I would like to do it like 20 minutes a day. But I'm low key like looking around to make sure I'm like, if neighbors are like walking like in the morning, I'm just like, I'm just gonna go over here.
So why the palm tree though?
Well, any tree, because so again, to like the studies where they would show like you can take a voltmeter, you can plug the negative charge into the ground, or just stick it into the ground,
since it's in the ground,
and you can hold the positive charge, and you can stand. So put the negative charge in the ground and hold the positive charge, and stand on the earth in rubber shoes, and it will give you no reading. Mm-hmm. The moment you take your shoes off and stand on the ground, it'll immediately go to like negative like 15 to 20. I've seen even upwards of like 60.
Yeah, I've seen these. I saw a video of this one guy who got his like pregnant wife like a blanket. It was like a grounding blanket.
I sleep on one every night. Yeah. I have it like across my mattress, and it just emulates the electromagnetic frequency.
Yeah, he had like the tester.
Well, and so in the studies they show, it's just like this dude took like, I forget how it was. I think this one was like 60 people. It was like one of the guys who just randomly, and he kind of did it independently, but they just started doing all this like research, and they found like how much it was helping with like arthritis, with just inflammation in the body, everything. It was like literally the earth is medicine, but we've cut ourselves off from the earth. So then
I've slept on the ground camping before and it sucked.
Well, mine didn't feel comfortable, but
Mm.
it was good for your body, inflammation wise. But that's so now we integrate technology.
Did you sleep on the ground or in a sleeping bag? Does that cut it off a little?
Well, certain things, yeah. So wooden shoes,
I don't know,
allow for it to, because the current will go through wooden shoes. It's literally since we've started using rubber soled shoes, because rubber just kills all the current.
It wasn't a rubber sleeping bag. I know that.
So it's probably all right. But they did another study and this woman did the same thing, but then she grabbed a tree and it like ramped up even another like 25, 30%. Because she was just like including, because like you're just creating a circuit. So she created a circuit and included the tree. And like all the tree is just like a giant, and it goes, and so just like the wooden shoes, tree is wood, so the current can go through the tree.
So if you're
plugged deep as F into the earth with all of its roots, so when you grab the tree and ground,
probably like 10
it just like,
so
it went from like -15 to -25.
That's pretty
which
cool.
is almost 100%.
But it's probably the best. So you're just creating this, you're connecting the circuit. So if you were to do outdoor yoga and get in one of those downward dog positions,
Put a goat on your back,
right? Well, yeah, I mean, you know, because you're going like
that wouldn't help.
hands to
but
feet
it would be dope,
on the earth.
right?
Or if you're doing barefoot push-ups,
yeah,
which are really, I mean, it probably wouldn't feel good on your feet, but
any of that stuff.
I mean, because realistically, because it's like your body, people that walk around barefoot all the time build up calluses on their feet, you know, so it's like people get used to it.
Yeah, I saw another thing where this
You just all have very soft feet. Well,
this
actually,
dude
not
has
really.
a,
kind of gross.
Yeah. This dude has his whole business is he basically takes people on barefoot hikes and you go for like an hour
That sounds
and just
painful.
walk through the woods and like on these trails with no shoes or socks.
Are they like, hopefully they're like soft dirt trails or something.
I don't know.
Nice.
Look kind of gnarly, but I think that's
Have you ever tried like just walking outside in your backyard in your bare feet? It hurts. Like, I mean, it's just like bumpy and
I think
like
it's
you
a testament
walk
to how
on
soft we've grown.
sticks.
Yeah.
All of our ancestors, that's the only choice they had.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Or like, have you ever been in a river, like walking in a river and like you're walking all the rocks and stuff? That hurts. Or
Dude,
gravel.
Telling you, man, that's why I've been trying to do more beach days, because there's something and I can't explain it, but
How does water affect the grounding thing?
well, especially if you're in the ocean, bro, salt water, like that's it's literally God's bath water.
Well,
'Cause,
salt water is also more conductive than fresh water.
For sure. And if you think about it, like, you know how much sodium we need and how like the electrolytes and all that stuff, like we're not freshwater beings, we're saltwater beings, but for some reason we can only drink fresh water, but then we also need to intake
Weird, huh?
salt, sodium from other sources, but it's like the water that's in our bodies is salt water. And what's crazy is like, dude, I'll go to the ocean and like I'm getting older, so like we'll go play pickleball and my body will just feel like I'm 100 years old and I'm falling apart. But I can go to the ocean and run on the beach barefoot, sprinting around, throwing frisbees, playing soccer, volleyball, whatever, jump in the ocean. I mean, I'll be out there for like 6 hours, no problem. Like, and I feel great. And it's just like, maybe it's placebo, maybe it's
my
just in
problem
mind.
with that is I
don't know.
have like 3rd-degree sunburns.
Yeah.
It's awful.
But for some reason, like I can go max effort out on the beach, no problem. But if I try to go play pickleball on a hard court, bro,
Yeah, you
I'm
jumps and
just
all that stuff.
hurting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that for sure. That like all the hard surfaces that we do a lot of stuff on is not good.
Mhm.
Like I would always in track, like with shin splints, you'd always run in the grass
Right.
to try to help your body recover.
Yeah.
And running and warming up in the grass in general was always pretty good. Like, you know, a lot of times we do it in our bare feet.
Yeah. Well, that's why like some of this stuff is so funny to me, like with religion and modern, like Western Christianity. It's like we say that we devote our lives to God and then we completely cut ourselves off from the earth. Like your typical pastor is probably not grounding or being out in nature or like actually interacting with the physical earth that God created us to live on. It's like everyone's like in their homes with a concrete foundation, completely cut off. And it's like we just go from home to the gym to the office. It's like, we just like, how in the world do we think that we're supposed to connect with God if we're not willing to like connect with the earth that he created us to live on? Mm-hmm. I just like my brain starts to break because I'm just like, this whole thing has just gotten so stupid.
Yeah. No,
personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. The things that we see as important now are definitely like, you sit and think about it for a second. It's like, yeah, that's not important. But I'm fighting for it.
And what's the end goal? Like, what are we doing all this for? Is it
so we can die and leave more material possessions to our families
to live comfortably? Like, I even heard this one dude talking who was basically saying like, he was a very successful guy. His name's Alex Ramosi.
I think I saw that. What you posted.
And it wasn't the same clip, but the same dude. And he was basically talking about how it's like, you know, he's young and married and they don't have kids yet, but he's very like runs a like $500 million business, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, he's like, my children will get nothing because I want to raise children that are willing to build something for themselves. And it's a very unpopular opinion. And I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but I think there is something to that sentiment.
I've thought about that so many times.
Yeah. Like what happens when you just give people things that they didn't work for?
How often do you meet
enticing but everyone would love an inheritance.
No, right. I mean, how often do you meet someone who's second generation, their parents like made money and they're just a piece of crap?
Right.
I mean, dude, I know a lot of people like that, and I'm just like, you see examples of that everywhere. I mean, a lot of these like entitled people that are online doing these YouTube channels and stuff like that. And you're just like, dude, like some stuff's funny and cool and whatever, but then like some stuff you're just like, dude, like what? I mean, what am I doing to my kids if I were just to spoil them with all that? So I totally get what he's saying, but I do get like, you want to shelter your kids from major problems and you don't want to have them go through certain things. And I mean, totally get that. Yeah. But then it's like, well, there was his other clip he had. It's just like, we want patience, but we want everything now, it's just like, you have to pay the price, and that's with your time. Mm-hmm. So it's the struggle. Like, I mean, what was the other thing? It wasn't just patience. What was the other thing he said?
Well, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it's the same stuff. It's like, if I want my children to be strong, I'm not going to make the road easy.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get strong. And it goes back to the whole, like, you can either make the road safe for the children or you can build your children up to navigate difficult roads.
Right.
It's like, at some point, the rubber is going to meet the road. And, it's like, I think it's just to me, it speaks more to just the laziness and just we just prefer things to be comfortable, and we just so easy lose sight of the fact that like the concept of hormesis, which is just you only grow through discomfort. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what do you really want for your children? Do you want your children to be comfortable, or do you want your children to be strong?
Yeah.
And it's like the challenge with because most people I would say would answer, I'd rather my children be strong. But then the challenge with that then now becomes, okay, now then that puts more work on my plate because I have to do more to make sure that they're being put in difficult, uncomfortable positions. And then I also have to work with them through that with their psychology and mentality, because
it's work.
Going to be hard for a child.
It's a lot more work.
And they're going to prefer it was comfortable.
And a lot of parents don't want to see their kids struggle with stuff like that.
Yeah.
They just want to see their strong child in the end, and they don't want to see the struggle.
They don't have to go through the journey, but
it's constantly, like, as a parent, you're just constantly kind of like thinking about that stuff. Well, I do. I mean, I'm just like, dang, like, I mean, that's why at most opportunity, like, I don't like correct a child before he like experiences a consequence, him or her, whatever. Yeah. Right. I say he because I'm dealing mostly with it with my oldest right now. So, and he, a lot of this now he's experiencing in life, he's dealing with consequences of his own actions. And I'm not preventing him from experiencing those consequences. So it's like, example, the other day he's been staying up till like 5 a.m. playing video games and stuff on the iPad and whatever. Yeah. And we don't have a bedtime for him during the summertime. I'm just like, he's just kind of self-regulating. But then he'll sleep till whatever 3 and all that, like stuff that you see like a lot of kids in college and stuff do.
Right.
And so like we had to go to church, or this has happened multiple times. I'll just use this example because it's the most recent. We had to go to church. So, you know, Christina says like, hey, you need to go to bed at 1. He didn't. He went to bed at 2:30. Even if at 1, he'd still be tired. But like he had to go because I was volunteering this weekend. So he had to go with her early. He was there for 2 services, and he was like, the first service, he didn't go to like his class or middle school, you know, group or whatever. So he was like hanging out in the green room, back, like falling asleep on everything. Like he'd fall asleep on the desk and fall asleep on my shoulder when I was sitting there, and it felt like he was just like, he was miserable.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, yeah, that's going to happen a few times, and then you're going to get wise. Like, this is why we tell you to go to bed at a certain time, you know, but if kids grow up, like the whole, I mean, granted, some kids can get so conditioned that they just know. And it's just like, yeah, my parents always had a bedtime, and this is why it's important. Which is fine. I guess, you know, there's some kids that will just keep doing that the rest of their life because they're conditioned. But like, there's a lot of people that will just be like, oh, I'm out of the parents' house. I can do whatever I want. Oh, shoot, I slept in. I missed my shift. I got fired. You know, so I don't know, like letting kids experience consequences within like the safety, you know, of your home and stuff, I think is good.
Yeah. Well, and I even like, I think one of the most important lessons that like my dad ever taught me was like when I was young, this happened to my younger brother and me, but we basically got into like some legal trouble, and the immediate, you know, instinct for most people is like, get a lawyer, get out of it. Right. My dad was literally a character witness against me. And same with my brother. He was literally just like, I'm not going to go there and tell you didn't mess up. Like I'm going to go tell the judge you definitely messed up. And then you're going to have to figure this out. Like, he's like, we're not getting you out of it. It's like, you got yourself into it. Now you're going to go through the road of like building yourself back up. And so I've seen in my own life, and like it translated, like, you know, many years ago, I ended up getting a DUI, and here's what's crazy. Within literally the day after I got it, like, because it becomes public knowledge, it goes into the records, all that stuff, bro, I got probably 50 letters from attorneys like wanting to like represent me like as my lawyer. And, you know, whatever, you know, so most of them, you know, anywhere from like $5 to $10,000 is what they, you know, would charge for something like that.
And what is the benefit of that?
Well, because they want to get you off, right? So it's like, let me be your lawyer. Let me like
work it down. Possible?
Oh yeah, happens all the time, dude. It's like they'll basically negotiate it down to like a reckless ops instead of a DUI, which obviously it's just points on your license. It's not any sort of misdemeanor or anything like that. It doesn't come with any sort of like, I mean, very rare that it would come with any sort of like,
because what happened, they book like you that. And then like you have a hearing or something later.
Yeah, but until it's actually like sentenced by the judge, it's not official. So it's basically fugazi out there. And then until you actually go to court and you plead, and then you go through with your case, and then if you're actually, whatever the sentence comes down from the judge, whether it be guilty or not guilty, then it would hit your record.
I didn't even know they could do that. Wow.
But basically I just like,
and then you only like you pay them only if you don't get one. Like,
no, you pay them no matter what.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times they'll be straightforward with you whether or not they think you have a good case. But they'll go into like these like tiny little details of like, we've looked at like the last 20 reports that the cop that arrested you filed, and he uses all the same language. He basically just like plug and play. So he's not actually writing up a genuine report.
Oh, wow.
Like they're trying to create this case against the arresting officer. But it's like the whole thing is that you're just like, I guess it goes back to the original point. You're just like, we will go through such great lengths to try to get off and try to get out of the consequences of our decisions. And so it's like, dude, years ago when I ended up getting DUI, like I just made the decision. I was like, not hiring a lawyer, not paying for it. I'm just walking into court and I'm pleading guilty, and whatever happens, happens. And the Honorable Judge Shoemaker, like all I can think of is like the ADA, the assistant district attorney, who like is on the other side of the bench from me. like I just pled guilty, and then she advocated for me to be placed into a pretrial diversion program just out of nowhere. Like I didn't even know that was a thing, which basically, as long as I go through their program and complete all the steps, then like I never get charged. But it's like, I have to believe that there's something about like, just like being willing, because it's how rare is it probably in today's culture that someone walks into a courtroom and they're just like, I'm not here to try to convince you of something that didn't happen. Like I messed up. This is my literal words. I was like, I made a terrible mistake and I'm just here to take responsibility for my actions. And then the DA literally became like my advocate. Yeah. And tried to get me off and, sweet. With the judge. But it's just like our world has become so twisted that like people will go through insane lengths to try to not have to deal with
not admit when they're wrong. Yeah. I mean, that just makes me think like how many people who probably like drink and drive frequently, like to the point where they're way out of control and they just pay a lawyer every time they get caught.
Oh yeah. I know a bunch of them.
That's insane.
And they just, and you know, that's the other funny thing about that like Suits series. It's like you start to see it's like it's all interconnected. Like you get a better lawyer. All that means is they got a better relationship with the judge, and they just it's nothing to do with whether you're right or wrong. And like you see selective prosecution all the time in our country.
Yeah, like you see that in shows, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is a fun show, but like you wonder how much of that's real. But I guess it makes sense. Yeah, man,
it's wild.
Anyway, all right, we'll end it. It's been a long time. So
it's been a long.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Bye-bye, people.
When I see you again.